Okay, let's dive right in. We're going to talk about how to build a personal brand that actually connects with people. In a world that is just so full of noise, we're going to break down the exact strategies that separate the creators who have a flash in the pan moment from the ones who build real, lasting influence.
So let's just start with the biggest challenge that pretty much every creator faces today. The game has totally changed. Your audience, they're smarter and way more skeptical than they've ever been. So how in the world do you actually cut through all that static and build genuine, lasting trust?
And this right here, this is the absolute key. Your audience's BS detector, just like the slide says, is incredibly fine-tuned. If you try to sound smarter than you are, or you stretch a simple idea into a 10-minute video just for watch time, they're gonna know. They'll feel it. In this game, trust is literally your only currency. And believe me, it is so easy to lose.
So here's how we're going to break this all down. We've got 5 clear, actionable parts to get you from the big ideas to the actual how-to. We'll kick things off with taste, then jump into understanding your audience, balancing your content, playing the long game, and then we'll wrap up with a concrete playbook for your first $5,000.
All right, part 1. Let's start with what I think is the single most overlooked skill in brand building. Seriously. It's not about finding the latest trend or copying what some other person is doing. It's about developing something way deeper. It's about understanding what moves you, and more importantly, why.
You know, most of us think that taste is just something you're born with. You either have it or you don't. But that is just plain wrong. Think of it more like a muscle you can train, or like leveling up a skill in a video game. It's all about developing the self-awareness to know what genuinely excites you, and then having the guts to build your entire brand around that unique point of view.
So how do you actually train this muscle? Well, here are 3 really concrete steps. First up, consume consciously. Don't just mindlessly scroll. When a piece of content actually makes you stop, ask yourself, why did that work on me? How does this make me feel? Second, define your stance. What's the hill you're willing to die on in your industry? And third, share with confidence. You got to put your taste out there.
Okay, next up, we have got to be ruthlessly intentional about who we're actually talking to. Because think about it, talking to a total beginner is fundamentally different than talking to an expert, right? Using the wrong approach for the wrong market is basically a recipe for disaster.
Man, this slide is basically a cheat sheet for how to talk to your audience. Just look at the differences. For beginners, your job is to make the complex simple. Dumb it down on purpose. For the mid-market, well, they often think complexity equals value, so you might need to show your work a bit more. But for the advanced folks, forget all the fluff. They value their time more than anything, so just get straight to the point or you will lose them fast.
This point is so crucial, especially if you're an expert in your field. Serving beginners means you have to put your ego in a box. You might be tempted to show off everything you know with all this complex language, but if it confuses them, you've failed. Simple as that. The true mark of an expert isn't being complicated, it's making the complicated feel simple.
Now, let's get into the constant tug-of-war that every single successful creator faces. It is such a delicate balancing act. And if you get it wrong, it can have really serious consequences for your business and, honestly, for your own sanity.
And this visual really breaks it down perfectly. You've got 3 forces pulling on you all the time. First, you've got the market. That's the algorithm, right? It's hungry for views and broad appeal. Then, you've got your buyers. These are the people who actually pay you. They need specific content that leads them to a sale. And third, there's you. This is all about your own energy and passion. You have to create stuff you actually enjoy, or you will burn out.
So when these 3 forces are out of alignment, what happens? Founder burnout. That's what happens. I mean, think about it. If you make content that gets millions of views but nobody buys anything, you don't really have a business. And if you make content that sells but it absolutely drains your soul to make it, you're on a fast track to just quitting. The goal isn't just success, it's sustainable success.
Look, anyone can build a brand that lasts for 6 months. That's easy. But what about building a brand for the next 10, 20, or even 30 years? The creators who really last are the ones who understand a simple truth. What works today will not work forever.
Every single content format follows this exact life cycle. A new style pops up. Think of like a specific video editing trend. It explodes. It gets massive results. And then what happens? Of course, everyone copies it. It becomes totally oversaturated, its power fades away, and eventually it just becomes irrelevant. The smartest creators, they don't ride that wave until it crashes. They're already looking for the next one.
This right here is the core tension of building a long-term brand. You can be boxed in. You're the guy who only reviews vintage watches. It's easy to understand in the short term. But the novelty wears off. The creators who last for decades are the ones who develop range. They're harder to label, sure, but they can pivot, they can explore new topics, and they evolve with their audience. It's the difference between having a career and just having a viral moment.
Okay, so we've talked about philosophy, your audience, and the long-term vision. But that is all pretty useless without action, right? So let's get tactical. Let's say you're a serious business owner and you're ready to build this content engine. Where do you actually start? What do you do on Monday?
So this number, $5,000 a month, this is a realistic starting point for a serious person who wants to start building a real content engine. And it's not about just throwing money at a wall and seeing what sticks. It's about making really strategic investments in the right people and the right processes. So where does that money go? Here's the playbook. Strategy, that's on you at first. Nobody knows your vision better. Hiring? Listen, do not go to job boards. Go to the fan communities, like Discord servers or YouTube comments of creators you already admire. The talent you want is already there, and they already get the style you're going for. Feedback? Build a small, trusted group to keep you accountable. And gear? Invest in things that have a high perception of value, like good lighting and crystal clear audio.
And here is the exact 5-step process for hiring your team. Step 1. Find 3 to 10 creators you want to emulate. 2. Go into their fan communities. 3. Post a super specific request for that style. 4. Run a paid trial competition. Make them compete for the job. And 5, and this is the most important part, hire for niche fit. Hire the person who truly gets your message, not just the one who knows the most software shortcuts.
So let's end with a challenging question, something for you to chew on. We're always told to be authentic and create what you love. But what if what you want to make isn't what your audience truly needs from you? If a small shift in your style could help 10 times more people, is sticking to your original impulse the authentic choice, or is it the selfish one? That's a question every creator really has to answer for themselves.